Hi everyone, my name is Kelly and today I'm going to talk about trematodes and their life cycles. First off, what is a trematode? So this is what they look like. They are worms. They're just super tiny parasitic worms that live inside multiple hosts, and although they're really small, they can cause a lot of diseases for humans. For example, there's a disease known as schistosomyiasis or snail fever. So people can contract snail fever by being in contact with contaminated water, and this water can get contaminated because trematodes can get released from their hosts. For example, a snail that are in the water, and we'll talk about how they get inside the snails in the first place next when we talk about their life cycles. The life cycle of a trematode is super complex, but it's also really interesting. It's so complex because they need to infect at least 2 hosts in order to complete their entire life cycle. But don't worry, I'll make this as simple and clear to understand for you. So let's go in depth. So let's start from the beginning when the eggs hatch. So when the eggs hatch, they release myristidia, which is just the larval stage of the life cycle. And the myristidia are free swimming and they can infect their first host, which is the intermediate host, and it's usually a snail. So this is what a snail looks like once it's been infected. So as you can see, it looks really different. Once a snail is infected, they no longer really function as a snail anymore. They're basically kind of like parasites in disguise with a snail costume or something. But yeah, so after the snail is infected, they cannot reproduce as snails. Instead, you can see those little white sacs in the infected tissue. That is where the parasite creates even more parasite stages, which can release more parasites, which swim around and also infect more organisms, and then either it can infect the human and then cause the snail fever that I talked about earlier, or it can infect another fish as its intermediate host, or any other organism. And through something known as trophic transfer, which is referring to how contaminants move up the food chain, basically how like when you are eating some bad food that's maybe been infected, when you eat it you get sick. So similarly, when an infected fish, it can get eaten by a bird, and then that bird can get infected. So that bird is going to be the final host of the trematode. So when the bird is infected, the trematode is inside the bird and it's able to reproduce sexually. And after the bird's poop, the trematode can release more eggs, and these eggs will hatch, and then the cycle starts all over again. Here's an overview of the entire life cycle. Once again, everything I've discussed so far. If you want to visualize it, just pause the video if you need to take a look and digest everything I just said. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope that didn't seem too difficult to understand.